This one has no titles, no fancy edits, no montage. It's just you and me and a subject. Today on Hippie Unplugged is from Cannadis' finest. Trev, thanks for the idea. You all cheated. You read the title. We are talking about uh, climate change. Climate change. They used to call it global warming, and they changed the title. Why? Because all the science that they were using to promote this fear got debunked. And the earth has not even had a constant increase in the last 20 or 30 years. In fact, overall, in average, we have dropped a tiny bit in temperature. But an average temperature of an Earth that has 100,000 different temperatures throughout the Earth is a moot point. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. To be able to say, hey, look, we took all the temperatures all over the Earth and we averaged them to a mean temperature. Remember, averages. I took statistics in university. I took it I took a couple of statistics courses, and you can take data and just with three different averages, mean, median, and I forget the other. Just with three averages, you can create such uh, obfuscation. You can create a fog in front of the data that makes it absolutely meaningless. But if you're taking already meaningless data, that is, all the temperatures all over the earth, divided by how many temperatures all over the earth gets you a mean, an average temperature, what does that mean? Nothing. Nothing. You can't go and say, and therefore, our temperatures have risen. Our good old, I'm taking a Canadian slant to this because Canada's finest asked me to. He said it was reported recently in our great prime minister who's so into feminism and social justice warrioring and has forgotten that he's supposed to be running a country. I quoted some facts that in the last 75 years, the average temperature in Canada has raised 1.7 degrees. Come on. Come on. First of all, averages all over the world, and again, I hate quoting averages because they're really meaningless. There has not been any kind of increase. And that's before any of these climate change, carbon tax cash grabs have taken or should be taking effect. Let's really look at this. Now, first of all, they're trying to tell you that also we have to have fake meat so that we stop having so many cows that are causing the ozone layer to deplete. Well, first of all, that's kind of like the wage gap. Talking about the wage gap, how people ignore the fact that it's been debunked and doesn't exist. And most people understand that. Most people have read it and go, oh, so that's the wage cap. There isn't any specific jobs where the guy is paid more than the girl. It's just on average, the guy gets more money than the girl because he works longer, because he makes different choices, because he takes less time off, because he's more adamant at fighting for things. But I'm not getting into that. What I'm trying to say is people still use that wage gap and say, that fake wage gap, and say, women have it hard. Well, people are using all this fake data. And why? You think, I've had somebody say to me, come on, you really think the government's going to try to fake that there's a global warming thing going on and that we need to start doing something? Yeah. Yeah, the government will fake it. They'll fake it. They'll lie to you. Why? Because taxes. Every single thing that has been spoken about is we need more tax money so that we can combat this, so that we can have more studies, so that we can, the Paris Climate Accord, if every signatory pumped in the money, the billions, trillions of dollars that were supposed to be funneled into this worldwide Paris Accord, and even their best estimates, which most of their data has been debunked anyway, most of their best estimates said that even with all that money applied, they may be able to affect the mean temperature of the Earth by 1 degree over the next 20 years. So how's that going to help? How's that going to help? And the move from saying global warming to climate change, now they're saying, you don't believe in climate change? That sounds really stupid. You don't believe in freedom? That sounds stupid. No. Of course the climate always changes. Today it's going to plus 15. Yesterday morning it was minus 6. That's climate change. Climate change is happening all the time. Why don't we just get real and finally have some scientists that are paid to only determine the best logical move forward? Have no discerning bend to what is expected. Don't ask them, prove to me that climate is changing. Prove to me that we're warming up. Prove to me that we have trouble. Prove to me that we have an ozone layer that's depleting, which, by the way, is the hole in the ozone is almost gone. And nothing was done to fix it. It just repaired itself. The Earth has that. Anyways. And that we, man, who's been on this Earth for that much of its entire time, billions of years this Earth has been around, and yet for only tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 years, man has been on here. And yet we can control the climate of an Earth that is never in the same spot in space twice. Never. Never. Even from now to now, or now to a year from now, we're never in the same spot, because while we're moving around the sun and the sun is turning inside this Milky Way, and the Milky Way is moving away from the Big Bang center of the universe, because the universe is expanding. So we're always in a new place, and we don't know the pressures of outward atmosphere, of spatial atmosphere, on the Earth's atmosphere. It is gigantic. The changes, the amount of things, even a supercomputer can't determine tomorrow's weather all over the Earth, because there's just too many variables. Let's just look at reality. Let's take a step back and say, you know what? The weather is changing. It's different from when I was a kid. It's different from when my dad was a kid. And it's going to be different when my kids are grown up. It's always going to change. We have to look at living within what the Earth gives us, not trying to determine and control what the Earth will give us, because we can't control something so immense and difficult and complicated. All we can do is say, hey, look, there's a good possibility that the oceans will rise. Some data is pointing at that. look at that data and determine, is it the truth? And if it is, we need to incentivize through the free market for solutions such as huge seawalls or slowly moving of settlement along the seaside to move back to where higher ground is. It just makes sense. Uh, yes, we do need to make changes. We are at the tail end of an ice age. So over the next 1,000 years or so, we are going to, in some areas, warm up, and the North Pole is shrinking for ice, the South Pole is getting bigger, but then things will change and we'll slowly start into a new ice age and we'll start getting colder. Will the people many hundreds of years from now, those same people, they won't be here unless, anyways, let's not go down another tangent. But in hundreds of years from now, will they be saying, oh my God, all the stuff we're putting into the atmosphere is making the earth freeze? No, it's the normal cyclical way the earth works, and we need to learn to work with it. If we've got an ending of an ice age and a beginning of a new one, let's spend our money not on taxes. Let's incentivize science to find solutions to climatic turbulence. We're going to have climate weirdness forever. We just need to be less dependent upon the climate. Does that mean domed cities? Maybe. Does that mean possible solutions of seeding clouds and stuff like that? Possibly. But let's incentivize it through the market. Let's let people come up with the best solutions. Let's have contests. Let's not just anything the government does. Private enterprise can do it better, more efficiently, less costly, and come up with a better solution. So why are we accepting in Canada a carbon tax that's going to the government and they're going to blow it on trying to find some solution to something that is not solvable? I really appreciate Canada's Finest for bringing this forward as the next subject for Hippie Talks. And I've got a few more subjects. I will be. Sasquatch love to you, my friend Clifford Burchfield. I am going to arrange a day. It'll be this month. I hope it's in the month of April, where I go down to the river and I have quite a few tokes and sit and talk about cannabis. I think I need to move more of my cannabis related stuff into this channel where you guys are paying for the content. You get what you ask for. So that's coming. Stay tuned. And thank you, Trev, for that excellent idea of something. I hope you'll mind my rant. I'm not bringing any technical data with me because I gave up on fighting the climate changers long ago. And some of you may not even agree with me. And that's okay. I love you for your opposition, for your being with me, for whatever you are, because you're a free person on this earth. You're an earthling with the ability to make up your own mind. And I don't care if it's right or wrong, or if I'm right or wrong. We all have to settle somewhere and be happy with ourselves. And I hope you're happy with you. I'm happy with me. Peace and cheers, love and harmony. Catch you on the other side.